Chapter 159. A Grand Gift. Lily, go upstairs with Ms. Lynn to take a bath. Ava patted Lily's shoulder. Lily obediently responded and left with Ms. Lynn. Philip looked at the little girl who bore some resemblance to his daughter, sourness rising in his heart. His daughter could never be a mother in this lifetime, yet he'd only thought about marrying her off. Dad, you came here so late? Does Grace know? A faint curve touched Ava's lips as she walked over and sat on the sofa. Dad has doted on Grace like the apple of his eye since childhood. Now that you're old, why isn't Grace taking care of you? Is Grace angry because you transferred your shares to me? Ava's delicate brows furrowed, perfectly embodying concern and obedience. If Grace is really angry, I should transfer the shares back to her. I hope you and Grace can reconcile soon. Only then did Philip realize how utterly wrong he'd been. His younger daughter was so well behaved, yet he'd turned a blind eye. My shares are mine to give to whomever I want. You don't need to worry about her. Philip's voice grew heavier. Upon learning that Evelyn had stolen credit for Monica caring for him, though he was angry at Evelyn, he didn't want to bring the previous generation's grudges onto the children. But lately, his eldest daughter often came home late. She showed no concern for his affairs. Even on New Year's Eve and New Year's Day, she'd only hastily eaten at home before going out. All those years of doting seemed to have been wasted. She was just like her biological mother, a thankless wretch. Monica had helped Evelyn so much back then, only to have Evelyn steal the credit. If not for that incident, he wouldn't have paid attention to Evelyn, much less married her and had his eldest daughter. He and Monica should have married a few years after graduation as planned, then had children of their own who would receive all their love. But Evelyn had ruined everything. Dad, have you eaten dinner? If not, I'll have the chef make something. I'm a bit hungry too. I'll eat with you. Ava intimately took Philip's arm. Facing his younger daughter's sudden closeness, Philip felt somewhat unaccustomed. His eldest daughter wasn't like this. She was usually closer to Monica. Still, he felt quite comforted. His younger daughter took after her mother with a kind nature. Despite how he'd treated her before, she held no grudges. He indeed hadn't eaten dinner. He'd secretly gone to see Monica, and seeing her bright and cheerful appearance, hadn't dared disturb her. Later, he'd come to his daughter's house and waited for several hours. His daughter's consideration warmed Philip's heart. Ava curved her lips into a smile. She wasn't without expectations for paternal love. It was just that after too many disappointments, she'd gradually become indifferent. She didn't necessarily need certain things, but who would hand them over to others? Though Philip had transferred all his shares to her, as the Hart family head, he still had many properties and savings under his name. She had no intention of letting Grace benefit. Moreover, when Grace discovered that her father, who'd always doted on her, suddenly became especially attentive to her sister, what would her reaction be? Ava looked forward to that moment. She thought it would surely be a masterpiece. Ava had the servants prepare food and drinks, then had Adrian accompany Philip for some wine. It wasn't that she couldn't drink, she just didn't want to drink with Philip. Ava had a basket full of pleasant words that made Philip beam with joy. When he was happy, Ava deliberately kept refilling his glass. Before long, Philip was drunk. Drunk Philip held Ava's hand and kept apologizing, saying he'd been wrong before and was sorry. Ava's eyes remained calm. Only when servants came to pull Philip away and send him back did she react. Since he was drunk, she had no mood to continue performing this father-daughter drama with him. Ava watched the door close. Only then did she withdraw her gaze. Suddenly, her shoulders sank. Adrian's chin rested on her shoulder, his arms tightly embracing her, squeezing until she could barely breathe. "Are you drunk?" Ava poked Adrian's head. He just lay on her shoulder without making a sound. Ava somewhat doubted whether he was truly drunk or faking it. "I can't breathe." As soon as she spoke, the force holding her loosened slightly. "Ava, get up. Wife, hug me, I'm cold." Adrian's face nuzzled against Ava's neck. Ava's facial muscles twitched. The house had heating. What was he cold about? He'd mastered the art of pretense to perfection. "Just hug for 3 seconds. Too little." "Fine, then no hug. Let's go upstairs to sleep." Adrian whimpered and held Ava, not letting her go. "Wife, I have money. Lots and lots of money." Ava paused slightly, understanding what Adrian meant. She curved her lips. Then give me all your money. Once you have no money, you'll be motivated to earn more. Then you'd better treat me well. Ava's voice rose at the end, answering casually, "Of course." What she hadn't expected was that on the 7th day of the new year, she received a grand gift from Adrian. He transferred all his assets to her name, including his Pierce Group shares. Ava felt a bit nervous accepting them. If she ran away after getting everything, Adrian would become penniless. But she didn't dare say this, afraid that one extra word would make Adrian regret it. After the lawyer left, Ava sat on Adrian's lap, cupped his face, and planted a heavy kiss on his lips. Just one kiss in exchange? Adrian raised an eyebrow, a faint, seductive gleam at the corners of his eyes. Ava shook her head seriously. "Honey, you're just a working man now. You need to behave and not do personal business during work hours." "And if I insist, how do you plan to punish me?" Adrian gripped Ava's slender waist and leaned close to her ear. His warm breath sprayed against Ava's ear like an electric current, making her involuntarily shiver. Mr. Pierce, you can't go in there." Before Ava could finish, the office door was kicked open with a bang. Instinctively, she looked toward the entrance while holding Adrian's neck. Edward Pierce stormed in furiously, with Stella Pierce following behind him. Unlike Edward, Stella's eyes held a gloating smile. Logan Brooks stood at the doorway. Looking at Ava sitting on Adrian's lap and Adrian's darkening expression, this was bad. He was going to get scolded. "Logan, please close the door. Adrian and I have something to discuss with Mr. and Mrs. Pierce." At that moment, Ava's voice was like heavenly music. Logan closed the door and ran for his life.